The current conflict between Russia and Ukraine. Europe is punishing Russia, a country with military and economic might comparable to China's. If Europe tries to help Russia in this situation, it would only make matters worse for the continent. China stands to gain from Russia, and it will also profit from Moscow's reliance on it. China and Russia have decided to begin construction on a $78 billion energy project, and in this video, we'll talk about why they made this choice and how it will help both nations. Please subscribe to this channel to learn about the most startling and remarkable global initiatives before we continue. I think we're ready to start now. Russia is the world's biggest nation in terms of total land area. Every year, Russia has a wealth of natural resources. Because of its abundance of natural gas and oil, Russia benefits greatly economically from these resources. Russia is a leading producer of both natural gas and oil, accounting for 14% of global production. It is estimated that Russia has 8.2 billion tons of oil in storage. Nevertheless, Russia also boasts the world's largest natural gas reserve. In October of 2020, 2.2, Russia's daily gas and oil earnings amounted to $500 million. The bulk of its natural gas resource is located in Siberia and East Siberia. Because of its strategic position, this region supplies 80% of Russia's natural gas requirements. Russia imports 100% of its natural gas from this area. Russia has no choice but to sell substantial quantities of natural gas to Europe because of its closeness to those countries, and the money it reaps from commerce with these countries is substantial. This suggests that Russia is dependent on the European area for more than just natural gas. It also suggests that Russia is dependent on the European region economically. The Russian crisis, however, marked a turning point. Natural gas supplies to Europe were disrupted when Russia, a key supplier, was hit with sanctions. The situation has worsened recently due to damage to the Nord Stream 1 and Nord Stream 2 pipelines. Evidently, commercial ties between Europe and Russia will not strengthen. That's why it's crucial for Russia to find a new and more reliable market for its natural gas exports. There is a need for a highly developed country that is politically neutral toward Russia. Russia chose to go to Asia for a more reliable customer, and China is, without a question, the finest partner in the area. The nation of China is a strong and rapidly developing superpower. The political standoff is also not a major issue for China. China only wants to do business with prosperous companies. China and Russia have had nothing but great ties throughout history. Negotiations between the two countries have historically resulted in mutually beneficial accords. Considering how many countries have imposed sanctions on Russia, China's neutrality has been remarkable. It's not a case of siding with anybody or opposing anyone. China-Russia trade has increased between now and 2020. So at 2020, the volume of Russian exports to China hit an all-time high. At the same time period, the amount of commerce increased to $200 billion. The gas is transported across Siberia through a pipeline. In addition, Russia has started shipping China natural gas. The deal between China and Russia to construct the pipeline was struck. China and Russia have decided to work together in 2014. Russia claims that a new pipeline project would cost both nations $78 billion, and that it will replace the Nord Stream 2 pipeline. The new pipeline is called the Siberia to Pipeline Power Project. Before we go any further, please tell us, like the video so far. If you enjoyed this video and want to learn more about China's climb to global power and influence, please press the like button, share it with your friends, and subscribe to our channel. Let's proceed. Just when did a pipeline between Russia and China become built? The question at hand is, why did they go to the trouble of making two? In 2020, 1. The Power of Siberia pipeline might carry 10 BCM of gas, but by 2025, after the conflict between Russia and that number would rise to 38 BCM. Russia will never be able to restore good relations with Europe since the pace of supply increased after the war. Because of this, it will need to ship a lot of gas to Asia. Despite the fact that they have begun sending gas via the Siberian pipeline, the available electricity is inadequate for this project. Despite the increased rate of production, this pipeline is not enough on its own to fulfill current demand. That's why there will be an abundance of gas on hand. The terms of this brand new agreement are now set in stone. Starting on Russia's Yamal Peninsula, the pipeline will go via Mongolia and into China. Overall, The pipeline is 8,000 kilometers in length. Its length alone makes it the longest international pipeline in existence. If completed, this pipeline will be able to transport 50 billion cubic meters of gas per year. As Mongolia is in the path of the pipeline's passage, both China and Russia must talk to the Mongolian authorities. It is expected that work will begin on the project in 2020. Then the pipeline will be completed by 2030. Overall, the project is expected to cost both nations $78 billion. Russia will be able to bypass Europe entirely in terms of natural gas exports if this new pipeline is built. But what potential benefits does China expect to get from this pipeline? China has a very high per capita use of natural gas. Energy is crucial to its various aspects of functioning, and as the demand rises, so do the strains on its own resources. For this reason, China is on the lookout for a supplier who can provide it with a large quantity of natural gas, since this fuel causes the least amount of pollution of any available natural resource. Since China aspires to become carbon neutral, it is interested in adopting its usage. The availability of natural gas is really helpful. The Western world's enmity against China, however, is already well known. Similar to how Russia would benefit from having a more dependable trading partner, China is under pressure to apply supply chain constraints in order to curb its exports of natural resources. Furthermore, China has a need for one. Furthermore, Russia is supplying natural gas to China at a discounted price, so China will save even more money. It's easy to see how these two countries may benefit greatly from this new endeavor. Since the conflict between Russia and Ukraine is far from being settled at the present moment, it is also expected that China and Russia would continue their relationship for a longer length of time. As with any other large power, Europe faces a risk whenever China and Russia sign an agreement. Russian natural gas exports to China will be subsidized, and the country will be exempt from penalties if it continues to do so. Thus, obviously, C and D both have a lot to gain. Yet, Europe is the only region to lag behind despite receiving 80% of Russia's oil exports. Europe was hit particularly hard by the destruction caused by the Nord Stream 2 project. As a result, the China-Russia pipeline project has made Europe's pre-existing situation much worse. It's very clear that Russia has found a better fit. No. Europe has to find a more stable energy supply if it is to meet its demands. Do you think Russia, backed by China, will ignore any sanctions? Do you think there will be further projects carried out between Russia and China, despite the fact that all of Europe has cut all relations with Moscow? If you're curious in China's exceptional cooperative efforts with the rest of the world, keep reading. In addition to watching this video, you can share your thoughts on it in the comments box and browse through some of our other funnels. If ties between China and Russia continue to improve, what consequences would this have? Please comment and share your thoughts. If you're interested in seeing a video about another stunning endeavor, go here.